What if this ship carried more than just cargo and crew? What if it carried the weight of a curse, the whispers of the dam, and the lingering shadows of the lost? The Phantom of the Abyss. The year was 1823, and the seas were as treacherous as ever. Captain Jonathan Blake stood on the deck of the Celestial Wine, his eyes scanning the horizon. The ship had seen better days. Its sails were frayed, and the wood grown with every wave. But it was his ship, his pride, and his livelihood. Jonathan had a reputation for being a fearless leader, a man who could navigate the most perilous waters. But lately, he had been haunted by visions of a ghostly ship, its decks crawling with shadowy figures, and a chilling voice whispering his name. He dismissed these as mere figments of his imagination, the result of too many nights spent staring into the abyss. The crew, a motley collection of seasoned sailors and young adventurers, were loyal to him. Among them was Samuel, a young deckhand with a heart full of dreams and a love for the sea. He admired Jonathan, seeing in him the father he never had. One fateful night, as the ship sailed through a particularly dense fog, a chilling cry echoed from the lookout. "Ship ahead, dead ahead." The crew scrambled, peering into the mist. There, looming out of the fog, was an old, decrepit vessel. It seemed to glow with an eerie light, its sails tattered and its hull covered in barnacles. The name on its side, barely legible, the Phantom. Jonathan felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He had heard tales of ghost ships, but he had never believed them. "Prepare to board," he commanded, though his voice wavered. "We need to see if there are survivors." As they drew closer, the air grew colder. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the lapping of waves against the hull. Jonathan, Samuel, and a few others climbed aboard the Phantom. The deck was covered in a thick layer of mist, and the smell of decay hung in the air. "Hello," Jonathan called out, his voice echoing in the stillness. There was no response. The ship seemed abandoned, but the sense of unease grew with every step. They made their way to the captain's quarters, the door creaking ominously as they pushed it open. Inside, they found a logbook, its pages yellowed with age. Jonathan picked it up, his hands trembling. The last entry was dated 50 years ago, and it spoke of a curse that doomed the ship and its crew to an eternity at sea. Samuel, feeling a chill, moved closer to Jonathan. "Captain, we should leave this place. It feels wrong." Jonathan nodded, but before they could turn back, the door slammed shut. The temperature dropped further, and the mist thickened. Shadows moved in the corners of their eyes, and the sound of whispers filled the air. "Who dares to board the Phantom?" A voice echoed, seemingly from nowhere and everywhere at once. Jonathan swallowed hard, his heart pounding. "We mean no harm. We were merely investigating." A figure emerged from the mist, a woman, her eyes hollow and her face gaunt. She was dressed in the tattered remnants of a captain's uniform. "I am Captain Eleanor Gray," she said, her voice a mournful wail. "And you have trespassed on cursed waters." Jonathan's mind raced. He had heard of Eleanor Gray, a fearless captain who had disappeared at sea decades ago. "What happened to you?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "We were cursed," Eleanor replied, her eyes darkening with sorrow. "A storm, a betrayal, and a curse that bound us to this ship for eternity. Now, anyone who sets foot on the Phantom is doomed to join us. Samuel clutched Jonathan's arm. We need to get out of here, Captain. But the door wouldn't budge. The shadows closed in, and the whispers grew louder. Jonathan felt a cold hand on his shoulder, and he turned to see the ghostly crew surrounding them. Join us, they chanted. Join us in the abyss. Desperation surged through Jonathan. There must be a way to break the curse, he shouted. Eleanor's expression softened, a flicker of hope in her hollow eyes. There is one way, she said, an act of true sacrifice. Someone must willingly stay behind, freeing the rest. Samuel stepped forward, his eyes filled with determination. I'll stay, he said, his voice steady. I have no family, no one to miss me. If it means saving the crew, I'll do it. Jonathan's heart ached. No, Samuel, I can't let you do that. Samuel shook his head. You've been like a father to me, Captain. Let me do this for you, for the crew. Eleanor nodded solemnly. His sacrifice will break the curse. With a heavy heart, Jonathan embraced Samuel. Thank you, he whispered, tears streaming down his face. As Samuel took his place among the ghostly crew, the mist began to lift. The door creaked open, and Jonathan and the others hurried back to the Celestial Wine. As they sailed away, the ghostly ship faded into the fog, taking Samuel and the cursed crew with it. Days turned into weeks, and the Celestial Wine continued its journey. The crew was quieter, haunted by the memory of their lost comrade. Jonathan stood at the helm, his heart heavy, but grateful for the sacrifice that had saved them. One night, as he stared into the horizon, a soft voice whispered in the wind, "Thank you, Captain. I'll always be with you." Jonathan smiled sadly, knowing that Samuel's spirit would forever watch over them, a guardian of the sea. And so the legend of the Phantom lived on, a tale of sacrifice and redemption, a haunting reminder of the thin line between life and death on the unforgiving ocean.